Wisdom comes from experience, knowledge, and good judgment. But to be wise also means that you have made plenty of mistakes along the way. Well, if you're considering getting started in RVing or are looking for ways to improve your RV lifestyle, stick around. This episode is packed with useful advice from your fellow RVers and what they wished they had known before they started RVing. Welcome to RV Out West. I'm your host, Brooks. My Family of Four's base camp is located in the beautiful Pacific Northwest, and our RV adventures radiate out from there. Please grab a mug of coffee and join us as we discuss RVing around the American West. From sweet camping spots, gear and equipment, to tips and tricks, we've got you covered. We are RV Out West. Today, we're tackling a question that every RVer, whether brand new or seasoned, has probably asked at some point. What do you wish you had known before you started RVing? I personally feel like these are conversations that I have had with many family and friends when we are sitting around a campfire and chatting. Let's be real, RV life is an adventure, but it's not always smooth sailing. From the excitement of hitting the open road to the unexpected challenges of RV maintenance, campground reservations, figuring out how to stay connected, and just the general logistics of camp setup, takedown, and planning for a trip. There's just a lot to learn. Maybe you wished you had known how to budget for campground fees, the importance of tire maintenance, or how tricky backing up a trailer can be. Maybe it's just something simple as realizing how fast storage space disappears. So, I took to our RV Out West community, and I asked you all to chime in and share your experiences and insights. Collectively, let's help pay it forward and share our knowledge with those who may be on the brink of starting RVing or are considering it and just need a gentle nudge. But in this episode, you all brought it and shared your common rookie mistakes, tips that can save you time, money, and a whole lot of frustrations. What inspired me for this episode was a post that I had read on the Go RVing subreddit, with that same question of what do you wish you had known before you started RVing? As one can expect, if you spent any time on Reddit, some of the answers were funny, and I can't even quote them here, and others are packed little wisdom truth bombs. So, before I share what our RV Out West community had to say on this topic, I'd like to first just highlight a few of the random Redditors' comments. So, here's what Reddit had to say. How much crap you have to buy after you buy the actual RV. Feeling this big time, I just bought my first RV, and after many years of research, now my YouTube suggestions have changed from RV tours and walkthroughs to maintenance and accessories, upgrade-related videos. My Amazon cart and save for later lists are all now a mess. The stock mattress is unacceptable. Budget for a replacement, not just a mattress topper. Now, I personally will 100% agree with that. I think we spent half of our first season using the stock mattress, and it was terrible. And so we went ahead and upgraded to a Brooklyn RV mattress and have not looked back. And that was a really smart thing. But again, we had to buy a $700 mattress to get a good night's sleep. And I will say now that personally, I feel like sometimes I sleep better in the RV than I even do at home. But back to Reddit, I digress. You're not kidding. We bought ours, and my husband asked where the mattress was, and I pointed to the 2-inch piece of foam on the Murphy bed. And he was like, "You're joking. We're going to try to get an inexpensive foam topper for now and save up for a better mattress. I even have to get a pad for the kids' bunks. I feel like theirs are even better than mine. Buy used. They depreciate in value like crazy, and most barely get used. So one that's a few years old can be as good as new. They are bigger than they look at the dealer after you get them home." What the water tank size is and what it means. Ours is 30 gallons and it sounded huge, but with 2 young kids, it's hardly enough for a weekend. Driving is exhausting compared to a normal car. There's a never-ending list of stuff to buy or change on the RV. You'll never get it all bought or installed. That I should have bought a newer one. Renovating an antique can be a fun project, but we didn't do much camping. How much I'd like to full-time year-round so that I could have started with a bigger truck and a fifth wheel. I wasn't surprised about all the costs, but I had already had done a ton of travel experience and prior expensive hobbies and had budgeted for it. I wasn't prepared for how much would break within the first few years. The poor build quality was shocking. Despite the challenges, I'm all in. My rookie mistake was the awning. I needed to leave the damn awning rolled up most of the time. Do not walk away from your RV with it out. A freak storm ripped mine off 2 days after we got it. Insurance covered it, and we never got it replaced. Other than it was a don't leave the refrigerator closed because we had it covered in mold after our first use, even though we thought it was clean. RV dealers sell you on TV, speakers, etc. But the most important things to consider is where your low point water drains are, under storage, gray water tank volume. It always fills first. Auto leveling. And tips I can offer, a 4-inch gel mattress topper made our bed wonderful. Invest in a portable speaker for better sound for TVs and external speakers. And add sticky pads on dashboards and tables so stuff doesn't shift when driving. The cost of storage is not insignificant, and the RV will spend most of its life in storage. Do not compromise on the floor plan you want. It's amazing how much you learn after you buy the RV. It's like everyone has their own "I wish I'd known" story. For me, it was the importance of regular maintenance and inspections. Things break, and they often break at the worst possible time. Beyond maintenance, repairs, and campground fees, have you ever considered where you'll actually park your RV when you're not traveling? Land rental or storage fees can be a significant expense, especially if you live in an area with high property values. Depending on your situation, you might be looking at a monthly payment for just a place to keep your RV. It's definitely something to factor into your budget. One commenter had a lot to say, and they said this: the roads are in terrible shape. Drivers do not respect your stopping distances. Spend more time in fewer parks. It's not an investment, you're buying the experience. Thoroughly review your manufacturer's customer service. Get friendly with a competent RV tech. Ultra wimpy toilet paper is your friend. Understand your warranty. Don't drive over 300 miles or 6 hours in a day. Never underestimate the effects of snow, ice, and freezing on traveling and camping in your rig. Tire inflation and care are critical. Caulk your cracks and gaps and mind your roof. If you can't see backing, get out and look. Well, after reading this thread on Reddit, it had me asking myself, what are some things that I had wished I had known before getting into RVing? And while a lot of what has been said already, I had some of my own thoughts that I'd like to add. But first, let's hear a word from our friends over at camperalerts.com.
The seasons may have changed, but that doesn't make it any easier to find available campsites. Now, you can get notified of sold-out campsites when they become available with Camper Alerts. Choose your campground, pick your RV-specific filters, and set an alert. It's that simple. Visit camperalerts.com today and start setting your alerts.
When we first got into RVing, like so many other noobs, I just didn't know where and what I didn't know. We learned through trials and mistakes, but also from our friends who we would go RVing with who had more experience. It is knowledge that is passed down and or often learned by doing, pretty much like parenting. One time, we rolled into a campsite pretty late at night. We were the last to arrive, and our friends were excited that we arrived. A buddy brought me a beer, and I was getting ready to go through setting up our trailer. It was a distraction, albeit an unintentional one, and I forgot to chock the tires. So when I unhooked from the truck, our trailer lurched forward, and luckily, the trailer tongue landed on my bumper, so I was able to raise the trailer. We are talking inches away from the trailer tongue being on the ground. It was scary, and now I have my own process, and I'm strict about it. So the moral here is to chock your tires right after you level your RV from side to side. As many others have already said, it's true. There's a lot of maintenance to owning an RV, and it's something you will really want to stay on top of and don't get behind on. Lastly, if you have slides, you need to know where your manual crank is for your slides. We've had ours break on a trip, and I wasn't prepared to know how to bring in our slide if for some reason I couldn't bring it in with the button and motor, and it took me 6 hours to figure it out. And so I would just advise that if you do have slides, how to bring them in manually. Now, let's hear from our RV Out West community. Like I said earlier, I posed this question on social media, and you all showed up and shared. So here's what you all had to say. Brian told us, replace tires as soon as possible. There is maintenance going to be required, and you're going to want to stay on top of it. And he also added, there's no need to fill your rig up with water when you're on a road trip. You just don't want that unnecessary weight. Now, personally, I will add that I usually keep about maybe 10-ish gallons of fresh water on board when I'm going on a longer road trip. So that way we have water that we can use to flush our toilet. So the ladies in my family can use our toilet in the trailer when we're on a road trip. Tim, another listener, said there are not enough campgrounds and there are not enough inexpensive storage locations. Kyle talked about cell coverage and that it's a big RV Wi-Fi great lie. He also said you need to be aware of your RV routes to make sure that there are no height issues, and that's really important for safe towing. Packing up to leave a campground almost always takes longer than you think it will or have planned for it to take. Josh, another listener, said that he advised not to put a bike rack on your rear trailer bumper and to also make sure that your lug wrench fits your lugs. He had the Star and ended up finding out he needed a deep socket, which did keep him stranded on the side of the road. Chris and Lindsay said on Facebook, they sure make them cheap. During one round of shop repairs, the insurance agent we were dealing with told us that Airstreams were the only ones worth the poop anymore. Bettina had also mentioned on Instagram, I wish there were better agreed upon standards. Everyone has a different take on how you should hook up your chains, how you should back up, how you should store for the winter, and how often to change tires, etc. Other than that, I don't really think there was anything that surprised me. I bought it in the fall of 2019 and could not have predicted the explosion of camping that happened in 2020 plus, and that makes it hard to get reservations and get out. Kayla, a full-time RVer, commented, we had never owned an RV before we sold our home. So when we were shopping around, we had no idea what we were looking for. We didn't know what the difference was between an A-class, B-class, or C-class, or a bumper pull travel trailer versus a fifth wheel. Not having the prior knowledge of the RV classes and what each one was designed for meant a lot of extra research for us to figure out which route to take when purchasing an RV for full-time travel with 2 kids. The other consideration with which RV you choose is which vehicle you'll need along with it, making sure you have a big enough truck to pull your fifth wheel, or if you want to pull a toad behind an A-class or C-class. There are so many variables when purchasing an RV that needed to be considered. It wasn't a decision to be taken lightly. Mike commented, understanding the heating and cooling in our trailer. The best way to prep the refrigerator before leaving home and knowing each other's needs for packing and rolling out. On the last point, I was ready to just keep some staples and standby clothes in the camper, but my wife Sarah plans out every meal, snacks, and weather patterns, which she wants me involved in the planning for so she doesn't feel alone in the effort. See, there's the teamwork. But Sarah said, water conservation and gray tank management is totally the thing that got us with the kids especially. After management tips and tricks is totally top of the list for me, especially with the kids. Also, laundry collection for dirty clothes is another thing. We tried putting in all our stuff in a laundry bag and then kept it in the shower, and yet a slow drip developed we didn't even notice, and it turned into a 1,000,000-pound sack of wet clothes. Now we are not sure where to even stow the dirty clothes. Ryan, a longtime RVer, had commented, I wish I would have known how inefficient some AC and furnace units can be in certain locations within the RV. I would have paid a little more attention to physical layouts, insulation specs when selecting an RV. Well, there you have it, and our community has spoken. We've covered everything from the surprises of RV maintenance to the reality of campground reservations, storage, and the unexpected joys of life on the road. If there's one takeaway from this conversation, is that RVing is a constant learning experience. No matter how much you prepare, there will always be things you discover along the way. But that's part of the adventure. The key is to stay flexible, embrace the challenges, and remember that every mistake is just another lesson that makes you a better traveler. Plus, with a little embellishments, those lessons can make for some great stories to share with your friends and family around a campfire. If you found this episode helpful, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your fellow RVers. Your support helps us keep bringing you tips, stories, and destinations that all make RVing in the Pacific Northwest so enjoyable. Until next time, keep exploring, stay safe, enjoy the journey, and go see what's beyond the horizon. Thank you again for listening to RV Out West. I sincerely appreciate it. If you like this episode, please share it with your family and friends. I'd also like to invite you to follow RV Out West on Instagram and Facebook, where you can join in on the conversation. Next week's episode will be the first destination episode of 2025, and we are going to share all about Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, where to camp, what to do, where to eat. So be sure to tune in next week for this special destination highlight episode. Thanks so much for listening to RV Out West. Join us again next week. Please like and subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts or wherever you choose to get your podcasts so you never miss an episode. I sure would appreciate it if you left a rating or a review of the show. Special thanks to Scott Holmes Music for providing us the intro song, We Are One. RV Out West can be found on Instagram and Facebook, where you can interact with us and follow along on our RV adventures around the Pacific Northwest. So get out there, explore, and go see what's beyond the horizon.